Rose Demel was my great-grandmother on my father's side of the family. She was born on September 28, 1903 in Kiev, Ukraine, when it was still part of Russia. When Rose was only 14 years old, she had to flee the country with her two brothers and three sisters because of the Bolshevik Revolution. The revolution happened because in 1917, the Bolshevik Party attacked the provisional government and overthrew them, giving all of the power to the Soviets. In Russia, Rose and her family were extremely wealthy, and Rose even had some ponies. When she came to the United States, she was very poor and had virtually nothing. She came here through Ellis Island, but under a different name that we do not know. At the time, the president was Woodrow Wilson, and the 18th Amendment, which banned alcohol, and the 19th Amendment, which gave the woman the right to vote, were both passed. Rose immediately moved to Pennsylvania, where she met Isidore Demel. At the time, Rose's last name was Parness, but that changed when she got married to Isidore and became Rose Demel. They had 3 children, Shirley, Ethel, and Arthur. Shirley was my grandmother. Since Rose never really had any job, she was a stay-at-home wife and mother. Isidore worked as a cutter at a children's dress factory, and Rose loved to sew in her free time, and she was excellent at it. She also loved to cook for her children and eventually for her grandchildren. Almost every night her grandchildren came to her house for dinner because all of their parents worked. Rose loved to have them and would always be making them Jewish meals like homemade gefilte fish and meat-filled kreplach. Gefilte fish is essentially shredded fish out into the form of patties, and kreplach are like dumplings that can be filled with either meat, potatoes, or cheese. Rose lived right downstairs from my father in an apartment in New York City on Coney Island Avenue. The rest of Rose's family also lived very close to her. Unfortunately, her husband Isidore had a fatal heart attack in 1965. Rose then lived on for another 22 years by herself and died in May of 1987 when she was 83 years old. Her legacy of cooking, sewing, and kindness lived on through her children, grandchildren, and now her great-grandchildren.